One of the wonderful things about this mission is that before we were halfway done with what we call the prime mission, we'd already taken data that told the scientists that in fact ancient Mars could have and would have supported life if life existed.
In 2023, NASA and DARPA confirmed the revival of a technology abandoned more than 50 years ago. Under a program called DRACO, engineers are preparing to test a nuclear thermal rocket in space by 2027. The stakes are simple. With chemical rockets, a trip to Mars takes about 180 days. During that time, astronauts lose bone density, muscle mass, and absorb dangerous levels of radiation. The journey itself becomes a major threat to survival. Nuclear thermal propulsion could change that. By using a fission reactor to heat hydrogen instead of burning fuel, these engines can nearly double efficiency and reduce Mars transit times to roughly 40 days. For the first time in decades, reaching Mars fast enough to protect human health is no longer theoretical. The Mars Challenge and the limits of chemical rockets. Mars has always been NASA's long-term destination for human exploration. Robotic missions such as Perseverance have shown that landing and operating on the Red Planet is possible. But sending humans is a completely different challenge. Humans need oxygen, food, radiation protection, and most critically, a limit on how long their bodies can survive in deep space. With today's chemical rockets, a journey to Mars takes roughly 6 months, about 180 days. That length of time turns the mission into a serious medical risk. Astronauts are exposed to constant cosmic radiation, prolonged weightlessness, and psychological isolation. Bone density decreases by up to 2% every month. Muscles weaken, and the cardiovascular system deconditions. Fluids shift toward the head, increasing pressure on the eyes and optic nerves, often causing permanent vision problems. At the cellular level, radiation damages DNA, raising long-term cancer risk. By the time astronauts arrive, their bodies may already be compromised. NASA's problem is not simply how to reach Mars, but how to get astronauts there fast enough to keep them healthy and capable of working, surviving, and returning home. Chemical rockets cannot solve this problem. SpaceX's Starship and its Raptor engines represent the peak of chemical propulsion. They use one of the most advanced combustion cycles ever built, burning methane and liquid oxygen with extreme efficiency. Despite their enormous thrust, these engines cannot significantly shorten Mars travel time. The limitation is not engineering skill, but physics. Chemical reactions can only release a fixed amount of energy. That energy limits exhaust velocity and caps specific impulse at around 380 seconds. No chemical rocket, no matter how advanced, can break through that ceiling. To go faster, NASA needs a fundamentally different energy source. Nuclear propulsion and why it changes everything. Nuclear propulsion replaces chemical combustion with nuclear fission. Instead of burning fuel, a nuclear reactor splits uranium atoms, releasing millions of times more energy than any chemical reaction. NASA is developing 2 nuclear propulsion approaches, each suited to different mission needs. Nuclear electric propulsion uses a reactor to generate electricity, which powers ion thrusters. These thrusters ionize gases such as xenon or krypton and accelerate them using electric fields. The thrust is low, but it can be applied continuously for long periods. This makes nuclear electric propulsion extremely efficient and ideal for cargo missions, deep space probes, and gradual interplanetary transfers that require minimal propellant. Nuclear thermal propulsion takes a different approach. Instead of generating electricity, the reactor transfers heat directly to a propellant, usually liquid hydrogen. The hydrogen is heated to extreme temperatures, expands rapidly, and exits through a nozzle at speeds far beyond what chemical engines can achieve. This produces high thrust and delivers roughly twice the efficiency of chemical rockets, with a specific impulse near 900 seconds. That single improvement changes mission timelines dramatically. Faster acceleration and higher efficiency mean Mars travel time can be reduced from 6 months to a matter of weeks. For NASA, this is not just a performance upgrade, it is a solution to the Mars health crisis. A technology NASA built decades ago and then abandoned. What often surprises people is that nuclear thermal propulsion is not new. Between 1955 and 1973, NASA and its partners built and tested more than 20 nuclear thermal rocket engines under programs such as NERVA. These were not theoretical concepts. Engineers operated real reactors, heated real propellant, and measured real thrust. The engines worked exactly as predicted and were considered ready for flight. At the time, nuclear propulsion was seen as the natural next step after the Apollo program. Mission planners expected nuclear rockets to power human missions beyond the moon and potentially all the way to Mars. The reason the program ended had nothing to do with performance. It came down to fuel and safety. Early nuclear rockets relied on highly enriched uranium, containing over 90% uranium-235. This is weapons-grade material. Launching it aboard rockets posed unacceptable risks. A launch failure, crash, or theft could have catastrophic consequences. Political pressure, safety concerns, and shifting priorities during the 1970s led to the program's cancellation. Nuclear propulsion entered a long freeze, despite its technical success. The fuel breakthrough that brought nuclear rockets back. The revival of nuclear propulsion became possible because of a critical change in fuel technology. Modern nuclear rockets use HALEU, or high-assay low-enriched uranium, enriched to around 20%. This fuel cannot be used to build nuclear weapons, eliminating the proliferation risk that killed earlier programs. HALEU still produces enormous energy, but it introduces new engineering challenges. Because the fuel is less concentrated, more material is required to achieve the same power output, increasing reactor mass. Designing a reactor that is powerful, compact, lightweight, and safe under extreme temperatures is one of the hardest problems NASA faces today. That challenge is exactly what NASA and DARPA are now testing. The DRACO program and the 2027 test mission. NASA and DARPA launched the DRACO program, short for Demonstration Rocket for Agile Cislunar Operations, to bring nuclear thermal propulsion back into space. The program is led by NASA in partnership with DARPA, Lockheed Martin, the Department of Energy, and BWX Technologies, which is developing the reactor and producing HALEU fuel. The planned launch date is 2027. If successful, it will be the first nuclear thermal rocket flight in more than 50 years, and a major milestone for human deep space travel. Safety is central to the design. The reactor remains completely inactive during launch and ascent. It only activates once the spacecraft reaches a safe orbit far from Earth. If a launch failure occurs, the reactor stays cold and non-radioactive, eliminating the risk of contamination. Once activated, DRACO will operate in cislunar space, the region between Earth and the Moon. This environment allows engineers to test high-speed maneuvers, reactor durability, and thermal performance without risking the planet. DRACO is not intended to go to Mars. It is a proof mission designed to demonstrate that nuclear thermal propulsion can operate safely and reliably in space. Why shorter travel time redefines human Mars missions. If DRACO succeeds, it unlocks mission designs that were previously impossible. Shorter travel times dramatically reduce radiation exposure, slow bone and muscle loss, and lessen psychological stress. Astronauts arrive at Mars before the most severe physical damage occurs. Mission planners gain flexibility, redundancy, and the ability to respond to emergencies. NASA's long-term objective is to keep a round-trip Mars mission close to 2 years rather than 3. Faster transit reduces the time crews must wait on Mars for planetary alignment and makes emergency return options feasible. Nuclear propulsion transforms Mars exploration from a single high-risk gamble into a repeatable, sustainable program. Ongoing development and what comes next. NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center leads nuclear propulsion development in coordination with the Department of Energy and national laboratories in Idaho, Los Alamos, and Oak Ridge. Fuel samples are being tested in research reactors and simulated environments to evaluate performance under extreme heat and radiation. materials in direct contact with reactor fuel must survive temperatures exceeding 4,600 degrees Fahrenheit, making materials science a critical focus of the program. At the same time, NASA is funding more advanced nuclear concepts through its innovative Advanced Concepts program. Technologies such as pulsed plasma rockets, which use rapid nuclear reactions to eject plasma at extreme velocities, could push efficiency far beyond even nuclear thermal systems. If these concepts succeed, Mars travel could shrink from months to weeks, or even days, fundamentally changing how missions are planned and executed. A hybrid future for space travel. This is not a competition between NASA and SpaceX. The most realistic future combines both. Chemical rockets like Starship handle Earth launch, where immense thrust is essential and reliability is already proven. Nuclear propulsion takes over once in orbit, where efficiency, endurance, and speed matter most. Together, they form a complete interplanetary transportation system. The 2027 DRACO test will be the turning point. If it succeeds, nuclear propulsion moves from Cold War history into operational reality. After 50 years on the sidelines, nuclear rockets are no longer a forgotten idea. Mars is no longer decades away. It is weeks away. If you found this breakdown useful, like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more clear space technology updates.